everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Dan the Movie Man. Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna review the first half, or at least I'm gonna review at least the first half of Stranger Things season 4, volume 1. There are a couple things that I really want to touch on. One specific episode, because I don't really want to get into all the episodes. The episode behind me, Chapter 4, Dear Billy. First, I just want to kind of give the background. So, we have, obviously the new season came out. We have a few new characters. Argyle, Argyle, who I really like. He was, out of the new characters, he was probably my favorite. He gets high with Jonathan, which I think is pretty cool. Um, we have Eddie Munson, who was the leader of the Hellfire on my shirt. And as you can't tell, by the way I'm dressed, my favorite character is obviously Dustin Henderson, or Dusty Buns. Um, and then, which leads me to the other newest character, which is, I thought, was a really good character. We got a new villain this season. His name is Vecna, who I think, out of all the villains, I think is pretty scary. He looks a lot like Freddy Krueger, and also I want to give a nod to Matt and Ross Duffer, the Duffer brothers, who created this show. I think they did a great job with this season. Obviously, all the episodes were over an hour long. I could tell they really took their time and thought out and really gave this a really good storyline this season. So let me just get right into it. So episode 4, which obviously are the one I'm going to be talking about, because if I kept talking about all the episodes, it kind of would. This would probably be as long as one of the is probably as long as one of the episodes. So I'm just gonna dive right into episode 4, Dear Billy. This, out of all the episodes this season, this was probably one of my favorites. I thought this, like obviously, and there's three, like, they divided, for whatever reason, they divided this season into 3 groups, like, or character groups, whatever you want to call it. We have the storyline featuring Mike, John, Argyle, and Eleven. The weakest storyline, which was Hopper and Joyce, which brings me to my favorite storyline, featuring Eddie, Dustin, Robin, Steve, Max, Lucas, and Nancy. So in episode 4, we pretty much get it. It all revolves on Max, Sadie Sink, who I thought was robbed of an Emmy nomination. I think that she deserves an Emmy for her performance, not just for this episode, but for this whole season in general. I think out of there were 2 main characters that got a lot of development this season. I thought it was definitely Max, and the other one that got a lot of was Steve Harrington, whose character I love. So back to episode 4. I was kind of drifting off a little bit, but who cares? So this episode really focused all on Max. She got, I think, out of all the episodes, I think she got the most development in this episode. And this episode also brought the song, the Kate Bush song, "Running Up the Hill," which she runs out of the Upside Down to escape Vecna. Which I have listened to that episode probably about 1,000 times over the course of, as I've watched this season. I've listened to maybe about 1,000 times. Yeah. So, and the few other key points I want to talk about in this episode, I really liked how Robin and Nancy, how they kind of like came together. I think they have really good chemistry together. I would like to see them in the future, like them kind of pair up together. Which brings me to my last point. Robert Englund had a cameo in this episode. His character wasn't that big this season, but you know, he had a cameo in this episode. If you don't know who Robert Englund is, he did he was Freddy Krueger in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. He had a cameo in this episode, and honestly, I think that's why I like this episode so much, is because he had a cameo in it. I mean, there was a lot of other things that I really liked about that I talked about, but you know, he had a cameo in this. I thought it was excellent. All right, stay tuned for my second part of this review. All right, goodbye.